Thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. I know that there's a lot of interesting talks today, and you came to this one. I hope you enjoy this one. However, because you are developers mostly, I just to make sure that there's a disclaimer about the beyond the code. Yeah. So if you are expecting to see Visual Studio code or Visual Studio, I'm sorry, there's no Visual Studio. All right. Before we continue, it's important to thank our sponsors. And I'm hoping that everybody is doing the bingo. Yeah, don't miss out. And put your name. My name is Emad Alashi. I'm a developer / architect / consultant. I have more than 20 years of experience. I'm not going to say how much more than 20 years. So it's like there's white hair here and there, integrations. And I love the community. So if you see me around, I'd love to talk. Just bring me in. We can have a lovely conversation. All right, so how many developers are here today? Oh, brilliant. All right, so we love coding, don't we? And especially when it comes to integrations, sometimes we feel that we roll our sleeves. Yes, give me which API, yeah? This entity, fine. And we roll, but stop. Because there's much more about integration than coding. So it's not just technical. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that you have to take care of, especially that's beyond the technology. And I know that this is true for any project, but especially for integrations because of how many stakeholders are there. So the first step you want to do with integrations, if you are building integration, this means different systems. And if it means different systems, there's probably different stakeholders. So you have to know your stakeholders, know who is paying for this project because there's budgets, usually comes with projects. And you have to know who owns each system that you are integrating. Who are the end users that are using it? So see this guy? He's in the back. He's the youngest. He looks like the most novice. His shoulders are behind everybody else's. This is the most dangerous one. This is where the hands-on, probably the end user who's really on the floor and understands how the systems are working. This is valuable knowledge if you don't know who your stakeholders are and how they can influence your project. It's going to be a big issue. Yet, this is another problem, is that these stakeholders, they have different understanding of the integrations. So when you're going to say, okay, we're building integrations, we're going to bring these systems together. Everybody has a different opinion, everybody has a different goal, everybody has a different incentive. So you have to understand everybody's point of view, why they are thinking that this integration is important, how this is going to affect their system because they are the owners and now suddenly things are going to change. So you have to understand and align these goals. And the best way to bring them together and do more investigation on these goals is to depict the business workflow. And this is not just to bring alignment. This is to understand how the systems are going to interact with each other. Now, know that the process will change. And I'm not talking about the development process, I'm talking about the business process. I have rarely seen any two systems brought together as integration that does not affect the business flow. What we used to do without bringing zero as an accounting system, we used to do this in certain way, and now so suddenly we have to have approvals, we have to talk to different users, there's a flow that's happening, and things will change. And I spent through building integrations with customers, I spend time running through the business workflows more than trying to figure out technology and how we're going to run the integrations. So you depict the workflows, the business workflows, you put them in diagrams, you try to put swim lanes to see where the data is coming from, which system to which system. This is very important, as well as the entity mapping. All of this you have to dump down and understand how the integration is going to be working together. Now, who thinks that Agile can work with integration? Waterfall? No opinion? All right. Look, it's integration works with both. Like it's going to depend on the readiness of the teams, the people, how the business processes are working. Agile work with integration definitely, but the thing that I want to bring your attention to here is that when you do Agile, try to foresee the future a little bit more. Don't just focus on user stories and iterations, because with integrations, it's really hard to undo certain decisions. Once you bring systems together and the data is built and integrated, and you want to undo something, it's not impossible, but it's very hard. So try your best to make the right decision. Also, try to figure out in the development process on what decisions that you have to do right now and what decisions that you can postpone. Because sometimes if you postpone a decision about how two entities can integrate together, for example, it can be very hard to undo down the track. All right, so that was a little bit stakeholders and business processes and the like. Let's talk a little bit technical. Still is going to be around humans. You said this field can never be greater than 10. And this is true for any project as well. Like sometimes the business analysts or the people that bring us the requirements, we think that they have given us the truth, but sometimes they make mistakes. In integration, it's much easier to capture this because we already have the data. It's not something that we are building from scratch or building new. We already have the data. We already have the information, like the tables, wherever it resides. So it's important that you have a look. Have a look at the data. Try to validate what the conversation about the business requirements before you assume and say, yes, I understand. I'm going to build around that is greater than 0. It's never going to be greater than 0. If you have assumptions or you had conversations with the stakeholders, try to write them down, and not just write them down to just protect yourself, to surface them out and say, look, I'm assuming that this record is going to be there for, I don't know, any assumption that you have. Try to surface it out and show it everyone, show to the stakeholders that you think they're going to be affected by this. And you'll be surprised how they're like, oh, no, wait, this assumption is wrong. We don't do this way. Ask about the integration frequency, because it's not also what they say. Everybody wants everything right now. But when you really dig deep, you're going to realize that they don't really need the data to be real time. Sometimes it's okay if it's 24 hours latency. And this is going to help you in making more technical decisions. Are you going to use event-driven? Are you going to use webhooks? Are you going to do scheduled jobs? If you are going to do scheduled jobs, how it's going to run? All these questions are going to help becomes a technical answer. So ask about the integration frequency. Mismatch of entities. Also, because we assume that, okay, there's a customer here, there's going to be a customer in the other system. Well, it's not always like that. It's sometimes it's a customer and it's an account. Is a customer an account? Is a account a customer? It's not. Sometimes it's not straightforward, and it's going to come back to the question: is that we are not trying to map an entity to an entity, and that's it. What we are trying to solve with integration is that if an event X happened in system A, what does it mean for system B? There's something sometimes beyond just mapping entities together, and understand the business impact about this event or this record being created, and how you are going to translate it into system B. So you're going to have fun trying to find these mismatches. Scheduled jobs. This is a lot of fun because this is one of the most used ways of running integrations. Just schedule a job that runs every time, every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, and read records from this table or this system and insert them in the next system. However, with scheduled jobs, there is a concern, or let's say there's some pitfalls that you have to be wary of. First of all is dragged runs. So if run one starts and it's still running, and then it's time for run two to run, and the run one hasn't finished yet, what do you do? How it's going to overlap? How are you going to manage this? Okay, maybe it does not run this long, but there's a failure happened, and you are processing hundreds of records in one time, and it fails in the middle. What happens? How are you going to handle this? How are you going to do the records that was already succeeded in the first run, and what about the records that hasn't succeeded? All of these questions you have to answer with scheduled job. Race conditions. I have been in systems where they started with one integration or one scheduled run, and they felt like this. This is easy. You just like run, pick up the records, change the status, and move on. And then another one was required. Okay, let's build another scheduled job, another scheduled job, another scheduled job. And these started merging between each other, and they started affecting the status of records in each other. And it was a mess because you don't know, you can't be sure of an entity that the status has changed because of another run, or it's going to change while it was running. So it was a bit of a mess. So if you want to do scheduled jobs, just be careful, understand what's going to happen with the pitfalls. Try to think about event-driven development. Webhooks and of the like is going to be not nice. Maybe more work, but less problems. Integration versus data migration. This is also very interesting because one of the projects that we worked for once I was involved, the integration team was like very eager. Then they just jumped and they started building integration. And then once the integration was built and everything was fine, the stakeholders was like, yeah, how's the progress? We said, yeah, integration is done. They said, awesome. Let's now move all the data from the system A to system B. And it was production, it was like millions of records. And if you wanted to run the millions of records through the integration to move the data, it would take weeks. Weeks, I don't know, if maybe more than a couple of weeks, and constantly running. So also keep this in mind. Once you are like into the concept of building integrations between systems, try to think, first ask how many records are in the existing system or entities. How many are expected to move in the target. This quantification is very important because it's going to help you in your decision, how you're going to move the data. Also the robustness of the systems, because sometimes you are willing to like, okay, I'm just put a big CPU with a virtual machine that can take a lot of RAM, and then I can pick up batches, hundreds of batches or thousands of batches. But then what happens? The system goes down because you hammered it so much and you are querying big data, and then it goes down, or the other way around. So once you want to build integrations, keep in mind the data migration, the data, and the robustness of the involved systems. Circuit breakers and friends. This is one of the most important tips as well, is to, once you are integrating systems, things will work in a different way. Like a system might fail because with integrations, it goes by nature that you don't own the systems. You are building integrations to bring the data between them. And if that happens, then if a system B falls down, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep running the scheduled jobs? You know that it's failing, and you're going to just make more problems. So circuit breakers, retries, staggered retries, there's a lot of ways on how to not bring your systems down. All right, one of the important things in integration as well is idempotency. In integration, especially if you are running scheduled jobs, or even not scheduled jobs, like event-driven integration, you'll also find that sometimes when you run an integration, an entity was changed, and you reflect it on system B. If it's creating a new record or it's doing something new every time, sometimes mistakes happen. If you're going to run this again by mistake, what's going to happen to the other system? Are you going to duplicate the records? So it's important that you build your system in a way, in the integration, that there is idempotency, which means that if I run this event or this action more than once, the result is going to be the same on the other system. So a very handy tool in the integration. Observability. This is why one of the liked, with the controversy, of course, tools that is liked in integration is Azure Logic Apps. Azure Logic Apps is like, so you bring the components together and you run them and say, okay, this is the workflow, this is how the data is going to be integrated, this is going to be the run. But the beautiful part is not the drag and drop part. The beautiful part is that you can see each run and click on that run and see how the data was executed in that flow. And people appreciate this a lot because you can also rerun. And it's of course not selling Azure Logic Apps. You can build whatever integration. There are a lot of integration services out there, but it's important that you have this kind of observability. You know what's happening. You know what the failing run. You can capture it. You can see what the data that was causing the issue, so you can and be able to recover from it. 2 slides to go, so I know that I'm going to stop you from having your lunch. I'm the only one who's between you and lunch. Error handling. It's important in integrations to understand how to handle errors, and this is not just from technical perspective. We are talking about business perspective, because if 2 systems are running, there's people are depending on it. If I fail in running that integration, there's something else, it has an impact on the other system. If this happens, how are we going to handle this from business perspective? And from technical perspective, are we going to run the scheduled job again manually? If I'm going to run it manually, what does it mean? Is this going to lose the impact of like, this happened because of that event or because of that manual intervention? All of these things that you have to really think of when you are doing integrations about how to handle the errors. Last thing is that it's best if you do governance in integration. Like you don't want to just run the integrations and disappear. You want to bring the teams together, the developers from each team, bring them together, share the knowledge, write documentation, share the decisions that made, surface these decisions, have regular catch-ups, do the mapping of the entities, how they're going to flow, and the data of the like. This is going to make a great difference. And I put a minaret rather than a captain that is telling what people do, because most of the time pushing people towards directions is rarely succeeds. You have to be more of a guidance. I think with this, I can leave you with the crew. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer.